Hello everyone, I am Kiran and today we are going to learn about a project management and a bug tracking tool, Jira. Jira is a tool which is very much compatible with using the Agile workflow model, and the various features in Jira support Agile completely. So we learn how to download Jira, how to use all its feature, and how is it compatible with Agile workflow. So let's begin. So it's a tool which is developed by a company which is Atlassian Incorporation. We will be using the 30 days trial version of Jira so that I can show you the demo of the usage of this particular tool. So what happens in Jira, we can either use it for only bug management or bug tracking or complete project management. So it's based on three concepts majorly. So the three concepts which Jira is based on is project, issues, and work. So the project is the product or service which you are working on, and issue, any entity in Jira on which work is performed is called an issue. It can be an epic, a story, task, subtask, bug, new feature which is being developed, or any questions. And workflow is the process or the life cycle of any particular issue in a Jira. The workflow can vary from project to project. It is set by the Jira admin in any company, and it can vary as per the requirements. So we will see all these with an example today. So let's begin. So you can see on my screen, I have created a dummy email address using which I have signed up to the URL for 30 days free trial. The URL will be mentioned in the comments. You can just check. So here I have went there and signed up using my dummy email address, and I have got a verification email which I have to go and verify. So you can see here there's a verify your email button to which I have clicked on. So it is asking me to sign in again. So what I'll do, I'll sign in again. So I have to claim my site. So I have to name some name I have to associate with my site, which I want to use in the Jira, the URL which will be created. So let's say we keep it as QA training, or let's say Jira training. Okay, it's already taken. So we can do some tweak on the name. We can name it as December 2021. Agree, and we'll move forward. No, we might skip all these questions or accept if you wish to. So let's say I'm choosing software development. I'm a QA engineer. So it is doing all the setup which is needed for creating the project inside the Jira. It's taking a little bit of time. So what I can do in the meanwhile, we'll work with creation of a project. Let's say we'll work for Amazon.com. So if this is an example of Amazon.com, so there are different pages in Amazon. So there are different sections in Amazon, as we all know. First, we have to go to the registration page and then log in, and then we see the home page. Then we can go to product listing pages, and then description, and then cart, and then order page. So what we will do, we will take up few sections and learn how to create stories and everything here. So first of all, we see that, okay, the setup is done. So I'll choose this one. I can skip few questions if I don't want to fill them up now. Now there is email address. If I at all wish to invite any teammate into my Jira. So I can use some email address, my dummy email address. Click on continue. I am experienced with Jira. My team is new. We'll be actually creating features, and the timeline is typed. This is all optional questions. We can anytime skip it. Now there is an option to select either Scrum board, Kanban board, or bug tracking. For what we need to use Jira here. So we'll be working on Scrum board. Here, Scrum is a system wherein we use a sprint cycle. So we can use the standard 15-day sprint cycle here, or even 7 days, or even 1 month. So the standard is 15 days. We can use any sprint cycle we want to. So let's select Scrum for now, and then use the template, and then any of the configurations which you want to. Okay, I have to name my project. I can name it as a QA training project, or we can either name it as Jira training. Let's name it as a Jira training project. Okay, the key is JT. This key is auto-generated key based on the name of the project which you have created in Jira. Now let's create the project. So great, you can see that the JT board is ready now. So it's a project key board. So what happens here, you can add as many backlogs as you want to. Then you can create your sprint and start the movement of the tickets from one status to another status. So let's see how it is done. So what we have to do, we have to create backlogs. For that, we have to go to the backlog tabs. So I'll open the backlog tab in another window so that you can see here. Now, I can add as many backlogs as I want. So create issue. So I have already explained the issue in Jira is any of these: task, subtask, bug, enhancement, stories, epic, and new feature. But the hierarchy is like this. First, there is project, and then we break down the project into epics. What is an epic? Epic is a big story, the end of whose is not very much known. So to bring an epic to an end, we have to break it down into stories. Now, stories are smaller epics, and then we break down the stories into tasks so that they can be assigned to the teammates, and the teammates can work on these tasks. And the tasks can be further divided into subtasks if needed, and then subtasks are worked upon. Let's go back to our window and we can start adding issues here. So we'll add some stories so that we can see. Now let's say the story is about development of registration module. Okay, the second story is development of login module. And the third story is about development of cart module. Okay, so these are all different stories we are actually creating here so that we can work upon them. As the stories are getting created, you can see that automatically some key is getting attached to it, which is unique, like JT1, JT2. So these are unique identifiers based on which you can search your ticket or your story on the Jira board. Now, we can also create tasks here. So it can be creation of automated suite. So let's say creation of automation is another story. So automation testing, automation suite creation is another story. And then we can create tasks which will be a part of these stories. So let's say I'll create a task which is writing test cases for registration, login material. Testing of registration, like execution, test case execution of registration material. So on. So we can create as many as we want to here. Now, what I can do, I can take up one of the tickets and then I can show how we can add different fields in those tickets. So let's take up development of registration module here. If you click on it, you can see on the right hand side, there is a different window which opens for particular dedicated to that particular ticket. I can open it in another window as well by right click and open in new tab. So you can see here the URL. The URL is JT1. So here there is the title of the story, and then you can add as many descriptions. So let's say it's about, what all logics will be written in the registration. So it will be username, registration will be mainly email, phone number, fields, and then register now button. So these are the different, development tasks which will be added as a part of the description. Let's say you can assign it to one of your team members, or maybe you can assign it to yourself. Let's say I will assign it to one of my teammates, QA test mail October. This is my teammate. Okay, I can add which sprint it is belonging to. So right now we have not started any sprint, so we cannot add any sprint, but we can do it later. Okay, there's something called story point estimation. Let's understand what is story point. Now, it's a metric which is associated with all the stories which are being worked upon, so that the priorities or the weightage is measured, and it's an entity which is used for measuring the efforts needed for all the stories. So let's say we are working on 10 different stories. Based on the story points, its weightage is understood, and then accordingly efforts are calculated. So it's very important to actually estimate the timeline of any project. That's why we use story points. Now, how do we associate these points to all the stories which you're working on? So it can either be the number of hours or efforts a teammate would need to complete that story. If not, then we can associate some even or odd numbers to them based on the complexity and the priority of those stories. So let's say we are working on login, registration, and cart module. And login is easier than registration. So login will have the story point as 2 and registration will have it as 4. And cart is even tougher, so it will have a story point of 6. So accordingly, the story points can be assigned, or the other process is to assign the exact number of hours needed. So efforts can be also assigned in the story points. It can also be odd numbers, if not even. So let's say we'll assign some story points to registration module, which is, let's say, 4. Now you can see here all different fields. The current workflow of this, the status is to do. Now it can go to done. So we can in progress first and then done. So we can add more workflows. So the Jira admin is the person who's responsible for adding as many workflows a ticket can go through in a project. Now we can attach some screenshots or references if you want to for explaining it to the other teammates. So attach is an option. Then I can add a child issue. If something is related to this particular user story, I can add it here. I can link issues. If something is blocking this ticket, then we can link some issues here. There are many options available here. We can see that. So now here is, there is something called all comments and history. So comments, if suppose I'm commenting done, testing team, please test. Some comment I have added. Okay. Let's see. Now this will come on my name and my teammate is then commenting something. So if you go to the history, you can see what all actions have been taken on this particular ticket. So first somebody created this and then the description was updated and then assignee was changed and then, the story point was also assigned. And then if you want to read the comments, you can go to the comments and read all the comments associated with this ticket. So this is about understanding how to actually create a ticket in Jira. Now let's go back to the board and start a sprint. So what we have to do, we have to drag and drop all the tickets which we want to complete or do as a part of this sprint. So we have to make sure we only take those many tickets as much as we can complete, because in an agile workflow model, we know how disciplined it is. And if you're taking up any ticket, we have to complete it in that sprint. So we'll not take all, we'll only take those which we think we can, which is as per the test plan and which we can complete in this sprint. So I've taken 5, I guess. Yeah, I've taken 5. I'll take few more. Yeah, I think I took the important one, which is about development of the registration and login module and writing test cases for both the module and executing the test cases for both the modules. So let's start the sprint. Okay, we can start the sprint here. Now we know that the sprint is by default or the standard timeline for completion of any sprint is 15 days. So here also the default date, you can see I have selected 25th of October and the end date is being shown as 8th of November. But I cannot wait till that to show you how to proceed with the sprint. So what we will do, we'll change the time here. We can customize the sprint timing also. So we'll change the time so that you can easily understand how sprint proceeds. But this I'm doing only for demo here basically, so that you can understand how sprint works. Usually it will be in days, not in minutes. So here it's 8 p.m. Which is being shown as a time. So I'll change the end date to the same date, which is 25th of October today, and the time as 1:15. The end time I'm changing to 1:15, but I want to PM. Done. So here is options which you can select. I have selected custom here so that I can customize it accordingly. Okay, the end time which I can see is 1 p.m. and 1:30. It's fine. We can keep it as 1:30 for now, and then start the sprint. Now you will be seeing that all the tickets which we have added in the sprint will be mentioned in the to-do. So let's say we have started working on it. Let's say the registration module progress has started and test case writing for the registration module has also started. So they will go in pro. Now this is happening in days actually, but I'm showing you in minutes. Now, this has come here. Now, the person, some other developer, he started working on the login module. So he moved it to in progress. Let's say the registration module completed, the work has completed. So the person will be actually moving it to the done status. So we'll do it, move to the done status. Similarly, I can move the test case writing for login module in progress, and accordingly, the test case for registration module can be moved to done. So this is happening in all as and when the tickets are being progressed. I have not filled in all the details of any ticket, but we will be actually doing it in real time. Okay. So we have to also remember to add the story points. So what I'll do, in the meanwhile, I will add story points to all the tickets so that we don't miss the graph. We have to see the burn down chart graph. That's why we have to mention the story points. Okay. So we'll do it. Okay. I can just assign it and just close it. In the meanwhile, I will move this to done and I'll keep assigning story points. Okay, you can keep assigning some random story point to understand the concept for now. I'm assigning some random numbers. This is not exactly as per the plan. So I have assigned all story points to the tickets which are as a part of this sprint. I'll also keep moving the tickets here and there, so the progress is marked in the graph. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll move all the tickets to done and I'll complete the sprint so that we can see the burn down chart, which is very important. So once I have moved all the ticket to done, I'll complete the sprint. Then we'll check the graph. So before I complete the sprint and show you the graph, let me explain you about the burn down chart a little. I'll go back to the PPT and I'll take you to burn down chart. So the blue line, which you can see, is the ideal graph. So there is an x-axis, there is a y-axis. The timeline is along the x-axis here, the number of days. Here, in our case, it's minutes. But here you can see here it's in number of days, 15 days, 20 days sprint cycle is being followed maybe here. So the iteration is in days, and in the y-axis there are story points or maybe estimation or efforts. So the measurement majorly, how the tickets are being measured. So the story points are there on the y-axis, and in the x-axis there are days. So the blue line which you can see here, it clearly shows that all the story points which were assigned as a part of the sprint was completed within 20 days. At the end of the 20th day, all the story points was covered. And the graph is so straight. It means all the planning which was done was adhered as per the exact plan and everything was completed on time. But this ideal scenario is ideally not possible in real time, and the graph doesn't look exactly the straight line. But the whole agenda is to meet the timeline. So the story points should be covered, all the story points should be covered by the end of the timeline which is set. So let's say it's 20 days timeline. So if there are 30 story points, all those 30 story points should be actually meeting at the end. Now you can see here the red line, it started like this and then it went here and then again it's going parallel. So the moment the graph is going parallel, we should be able to understand that the timeline is at danger. We are not going to meet the timeline. Why? Because if the graph will go straight like this, we'll never finish the tasks. So we have to make sure that the graph is in a way so that it's about to meet the timeline. It should meet the x-axis. So that is the whole agenda. And this is called burn down chart. It will help us understand the progress and how many days did it take. So I'll go back to my board and I will move the last ticket also to done, and I will complete the sprint to show you the similar kind of chart. So complete sprint 1, yes, 6 issues. Now we have come back to the backlog tabs wherein we can add more tickets and start new sprint. Sprint 2 can be, I can move these to sprint 2 and then start sprint 2, or maybe add more backlogs and then start sprint 2. But for the timing, let's understand the burn down chart for sprint 1. So where do we go? We go to the report section. So I'll go back to my board. I'll refresh the page. So we'll check how the report looked like for the previous sprint. So what we have to do, we have to go to the report section on the left-hand side on the navigator, which you can see here. If the report section is not available to you, what we have to do is you have to go to the project settings, go to the features, and enable report section from here. You have to do that if the report is not visible on your board. So after doing that, we can go back to the tab and we can go to the report section and click on burn down chart. Okay. Sprint burn down chart. So the chart will be somewhat like this. You can see there were somewhat around 4 story points. Okay. And then here there are minutes which we can see. It started at 1:10 and about to end at 1:30. So the sprint has actually ended before time on, we actually completed the sprint before time. It's 1:24 only now. So that's why the chart, it ends here, which will be 1:30. But we can see the burn down chart. Okay, now once the sprint is complete, we can see the reports, burn down chart for that particular sprint. So what we have to do, we have to go to the report section on the left panel. Let's say you can see here under the project. Yeah, you can see here the report section. Now let's say your report section is not visible or it's not enabled. What you have to do, you have to go to the project settings. You have to click on features and then you have to enable reports here. So this toggle, you have to enable it and then go back to the project. Your report section will be visible. You have to go to the report section, select burn down chart and select the sprint which you want to see. Since for sprint 1, we had not enabled the burn down chart. So what we'll do, we'll see the burn down chart for sprint 2, which I performed. So what you can see here, there were overall around more than 30 story points which got covered in the timeline. So you can see the graph has met the x-axis and all the stories got completed within the time. So this is a view and picture of how the sprint has appeared. Thank you.